Hey, it's Glenn Fleetwood. Welcome again to a third episode of the legendary, legionary, and probably stretching off for 10 years. This is the Heurmann Murder Trial Podcast. I hope you have gained a lot from it. If you have, I know you're tired of everybody telling you this, but subscribe, like, and ring the bell. But your next episode is not due till Monday, and this is actually coming out early Sunday morning, but that's because there is an urgent development, and I don't see it anywhere on TV. It might be there yet. I'll keep checking around, but so far I don't see any. But here's the piece of evidence that is going to come out at his trial, if there is a trial. Now, here's the thing. There's a very good chance that there won't be a trial, that there'll be a trial date, and everybody will show up for the trial, and at that time, his lawyer, as I have done my whole 33 years, hundreds of times with my clients, you look at him and say, you know what, we don't have any more bluffs to bluff. We've used everything we have to say we're going to trial, make us a better deal, and the prosecution normally has given us a better deal. But we're now at a place where we got nothing left to bluff with. So he is now in that place already. It's awfully early. I mean, they haven't even had his what we used to call 1285 motion, his preliminary hearing, where he gets to examine the officer and the alleged probable cause against him. But a piece of evidence has come out that is just filleting, barbecuing, skewering, that's a better word. Oh my goodness, it's bad. And I didn't even need an expert to tell me it's bad, but now I see there's an expert on board saying it's as bad as it looks. I have a great sense of hearing, and I use it for mixing music and things like that. So I'm pretty good at voices, listening to voices, identifying voices, all that stuff. There was a person in 2016 who called the people involved in making the documentary at that time on the killings. Okay? The Long Island serial killings were the subject of a documentary by two people. And they were working on it. Looks very legit to me, very hardworking people. They have a lot of impressive equipment, and they seemed very organized. And I saw the product, their documentary, and it was really well organized. I thought they did a great job. I would have rather they solved the murder, but that's a lot to ask when the police haven't been able to. But here's the point. What would you call it? A good Samaritan called them and gave them quite a detailed hint as to who they should be looking at. And of course, wouldn't you know it, the person that the caller was referring them to was dead. Okay, so he was trying to direct the investigation to pursue a person as the murderer, and that person was already dead. And this caller gave a detailed, here's who he is, here's his phone number, here's his clothing size. We've got a picture of him and, going into it, just really a very detailed. And of course, as either a defense lawyer or as an investigating detective, you say, oh boy, this guy has got a real grudge against the person. He is trying awfully hard to frame this person who he is. Well, we don't know if it's a frame, but he is certainly trying hard to get this person who's now dead blamed for the incident. You can't say arrested because he's dead, but he's certainly trying to push the blame on this person is he the one who's really to blame? So, of course, the next thing you want to do is say, well, what about the voices? The voice of the anonymous caller and the voice of Rex Heurmann are exactly the same. Exactly the same. So, does that mean it's him? Do you have another explanation for it? If you do, write down below. You see down below where you could give your opinion. I'd like very much your opinion if there is another explanation. But the truth of the matter is, it's Heurmann's voice. Now, was somebody else borrowing his voice that day? I don't know if that's possible. Is there any way? No, there's no way it could have been altered or manipulated digitally or anything like that. This caller has not only a sing-song, high-pitched voice, but if you listen to the way he speaks and the manner in which he puts ideas forward, pulls them back, criticizes his own ideas, goes forward again, organizes them to sound as if he's going off of an outline. His speech in the piece of film that some of us have seen where he was being interviewed for his role in the world as an architect, and nobody at that time, or I don't know if nobody, but he wasn't at that time suspected of being involved with any murders. But he's interviewed as an architect, and he goes on about how he's a fixer, he's a problem solver, he just gets into the middle of these things and makes all the problems go away. Now remember, that would be consistent with a serial killer who believes he's doing the same thing for society, that he's removing these parasites and these women who are the leeches of society and who cause these men to do bad things. I know that's hard to believe, but yes, the serial killers who kill the strings of women prostitutes frequently believe, not always, but frequently believe that they are heroes, that they're ridding the world of these bad women who cause these otherwise good men to stray. Okay, so when you hear Heurmann's interview with this magazine writer, and his voice is going, sing-song and up and down, and he's just happy and cheery and selling himself as a product, and you hear that voice, and then you compare that to the voice that we have just heard of the stranger who called up to blame a now dead person, or a then dead person, for the killings in Long Island. You hear they're the same voice. Not only the same voice, but there's a lot of just the same attitude, the same folksy, hey, I'm just trying to help, I just happen to be walking by, I don't have a dog in this race, but I am going out of my way to find out who are the investigators and finding a way to call them and making a very detailed allegation against, of course, a person who is not only dead, but, of course, if they began to be a suspect, he would know that the heat was off of him. So it cannot be a coincidence. If you listen to the voices, or at least if you have my set of ears and sound analysis, they're the same voice. It's the same caller. And of course, if it's not the same caller, why doesn't the person who called in, because we've got now the person who did it, will the person who did call that day step out and identify themselves and say, it was me? Let's hear it. And if no one does, well, things ain't looking good for Big Rex. Anyway, that's a great piece of evidence. The first thing I would do, of course, at trial is you don't cave. The first thing you do is you go check the water at the other side, what's going on? You guys open to a plea bargain that's a little bit more favorable to my client? And if not, then you file the best motion in limine, it's called, that you can, asking that tape and the references to that tape be hidden, be precluded from the jury hearing them or being told about them. And you file that. My way of doing it is file it with the court, make sure that it is as well written as possible so that the DA, when they go back to their office at 4:45 p.m., they read it and they go, oh, shit, this could win. Oh, my God, the judge might go along with this. Now, they're usually going to be thinking, no, the judge probably won't, but, it's possible. And then they say, well, we got to now crank the books open and counter Fleetwood's arguments and say, Judge, no, the state of the law is that this is admissible in this case. And while that's pending, that's when you get really good deals, because neither side wants to roll the dice and hope for a good outcome. It's just too risky. So both sides are saying, well, if the other side wins, my case is screwed. And that's when all of a sudden they lean over and they say, hey, would your client be willing to do this? And I say, you know what, I can't tell you for sure, but I'm going to advise him it's a good deal. So I'm going to say, I think probably, yeah, but, I can't commit. Let me check, but I think we got a deal. That's the way I usually do it. And the prosecutors always seem to appreciate that. I go to my client, I tell him, and 99 times out of 100, my client, based on what I just told you, takes it, and that's it. But anyway, that's the new development that's going to get your Monday episode of the Heurmann murder trial. It's going to get to you early Sunday morning. And thanks for listening. I'm Glenn Fleetwood, 33 years, criminal defense attorney, 5 years retired. And I want you to please, as everybody else tells you, I know you're tired of hearing it, subscribe, give me a like, just thumbs up, and ring that bell so that when the next episode comes out, and I promise I'll get it to you within 2 minutes of me finding out the interesting piece of evidence or the breakthrough in the case, or the development, or the confession. Again, I was the first person of anybody who said that Big Rex was on suicide watch. So I don't know if I'm the first person on this voice matching, but I can sure tell you that I'm the first person that's going to tell you they match. It's the same voice. It's the same voice. If not, hey, Rex, sue me. Easy to do. Rex, come on, just sue me. Easy, hey, we'll take your discovery. We'll do your deposition down there at the jail. Anyway, thanks for listening. And if nothing pops up, we'll talk to you next Monday. And if anything interesting pops up in the next 24, we'll talk to you tomorrow.